Joining us now is human rights activist Dr. Ero Ibafidon for more on this. Thank you for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you for having me, Lion.
Well, it's a sad thing we're seeing. It's good to see you as well. A sad thing we're seeing happening in Sudan, the civil war entering its third year. And the UN is saying major human rights violations have been reported during this war. And it's also implicating both warring parties. We have the Sudanese armed forces and the rapid support forces. How can these perpetrators be held accountable, or are there challenges to doing this?
Thank you very much. I think the Sudanese crisis is way more than we think it is, and tomorrow makes it the third year, and this is a major concern for the United Nations and even the world at large. And we are thinking that some people are even benefiting from the war, because sometimes when situations like this are happening, there are people that do not want it to end. And the United Nations is doing quite a lot on what can be done to ensure that peace come back to Sudan, and to make sure that because a lot of people have already been homeless. There is a lot of displaced people everywhere now in Sudan, and the humanitarian communities are doing their best to even reach out as well, and they have been deprived of even reaching out to those people in Sudan. Medical attention is needed also there, but all those things have been the humanitarian body is finding it difficult to even get into Sudan, because life first and all of that. So, but for the United Nations, is on the top priority list for them to make sure that, peace come back to Sudan, and everybody will have to live as peaceful as they could moving forward.
But would you say the regional community is now doing enough in responding and also ending the war?
I'll say the regional community like the African Union and the IGAD, they are doing their best, but I would say more needs to be done. We need to get the international community, criminal community involved to also persecute these perpetrators of evil and these evil acts, so that they will not see it as business as usual. That is why a day like this, like you recognizing this situation is very important. If other media organizations also can also recognize this and also call on the world at large to actually act fast and make sure that, okay, peace come back to Sudan, it will go a long way, because, the international community are doing their best. But I will tell you the truth that this crisis is escalating to even other neighboring countries like Chad, Egypt, even South Sudan and SCO, because a lot of them are now getting pressure from displaced people moving into their countries. They are even suffering from humanitarian crisis as well, but now they are having more people troop into their countries. So I think we need more voices to go out there and tell the world that this needs to be done, and the international community really need to get fully involved in Sudan, so that peace can come back to Sudan and people can start living their best life again in Sudan. So I think I would say the African community are doing their best, but their best is really not good enough. There is need for them to act more and act swiftly.
All right. You've already mentioned and touched on my next question. The conflict, no doubt, is affecting the civilian population, and we've seen displacements. There's no access to food and medical care. Neighboring countries are also feeling the brunt, and these countries also have their own domestic issues. Take, for example, South Sudan. Even according to the UN, it said Sudan's war is a grave humanitarian crisis. It's the world's greatest humanitarian crisis. How can this now be resolved in terms of the humanitarian aspect?
Thank you very much for that. I think now we need to have more collaborations, not just with even government now, but with international humanitarian organizations as well, coming together, also providing relief items to those neighboring countries that have already have more displaced people in their communities. Those countries needs to be reached out to as well, like the Chad, the Egypt, the South Sudan you mentioned. Yeah, they needs to be reached out to as well with more humanitarian aid. And yes, more humanitarian collaboration is also needed in situations like this. Meetings with humanitarian stakeholders, even in Sudan and neighboring countries, to see how those people that are being affected can get support in one way or the other. We are using this opportunity to also call on international organizations as well that are willing to collaborate in this regards, to also come in and collaborate and see how we can all join hands together to make sure that peace come back to Sudan.
Activist, thank you for your time on Network Africa.
Thank you, Lai, for having me. Thank you.